Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Wednesday version of Harmonize, 2Energize, the storytelling version. My name is Terry Matthews. I work here at the headquarters of JIN SHIN JYUTSU in Scottsdale, Arizona in the US of A. Welcome everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful time, whatever time it is in your part of the world. A good Jitsu is an art of harmonizing energy in the Asian medical theory. And in JIN SHIN JYUTSU, we do this by placing our hands on the side of the body, 26 to the left, 26 to the right. So high bodies in the organ function energy pathways at different levels of frequency of energy. So who are or who is the the mystery presenter is
Ta-da!
Yes. Welcome, the mystery presenter Érika Ramos with her dear friend and translator, Maria Rita. So without further ado, they're from Brazil, by the way. Without further ado, I'm going to pass over to them so that they can bring to you the sharing of JIN SHIN JYUTSU in their stories today. Here we go.
Thanks, Terry.
Hi, Terry. Hi, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. It's so joyful, so many fun to be here. And I have my friend, my dear beloved friend, Maria Rita with me in order to help me with the English, because it's much more easier for me to speak in Portuguese. Then here we go. Hi, Maria Rita.
Hi, Érika.
Eu vou contar para vocês um pouquinho da minha história, rapidamente, e depois a gente vai entrar nas histórias que eu tenho para contar. Foi muito difícil escolher as histórias, porque são muitas, e a gente só tem tempo para 2 ou 3. Então, eu fiz isso para escolher. Mas vamos lá.
So, here's Maria Rita, who's going to help me with the English translation, as Érika was saying. I'm going to start telling you some stories. It is storytelling time. It was very hard to select only 2 stories to tell, but we have time restraints. And here we go.
A primeira história foi do meu comecinho do JIN SHIN JYUTSU. Eu estou no JIN SHIN JYUTSU há 22 anos. Eu fui organizadora aqui em São Paulo, no Brasil, por 11 anos dos cursos, mas eu escolhi a minha primeira história, a primeira história que me colocou no JIN SHIN JYUTSU para contar para vocês.
I've been involved with JIN SHIN JYUTSU for 22 years. I was an organizer in São Paulo, Brazil, for 11 years. But the first story I decided to tell you is from my very first contact with JIN SHIN JYUTSU.
Eu ganhei o livro, O Toque da Cura, e eu comecei a ler. E poucos dias depois que eu estava lendo o livro, um primo meu foi atropelado, sofreu um acidente bem grave.
I got the book, The Touch of Healing, as a present, and I started reading it. And shortly afterwards, a dear cousin of mine was involved in a car accident. He was run over by a car.
E ele era uma pessoa que tinha muitos problemas de coluna, ele era bailarino, já tinha feito várias cirurgias físicas, cirurgias espirituais, e tinha acabado abandonando a dança porque a coluna dele já estava muito machucada. E durante o acidente ele sofreu várias lesões e precisou ficar numa grade de ferro contendo o corpo dele, porque se ele se mexesse, ele podia lesionar a medula.
And this friend of mine, he used to be a dancer. He had stopped actually dancing because his spine was severely injured. You know, it was very compromised. he had to stop dancing. So even before the accident, he had the spine severely compromised. And when he suffered the accident, when he was run over by the car, it made everything much worse, of course. And he had to be, in a sort of a cage with metal rods to keep his spine alive, because, any sudden movement could permanently damage his spine and compromise some of his movements.
Então, eu fui até a casa dele para visitá-lo. Ele estava com muita dor e eu disse para ele, eu estou lendo um livro e nesse livro diz que se você colocar a mão no ombro da pessoa aí na virilha, isso vai ajudar a dor nas costas. Eu posso fazer em você? E aí eu queria convidar vocês para irem fazendo isso também, enquanto a gente vai conversando. Isso é que é o bom do JIN SHIN JYUTSU, não é? A gente pode conversar e praticar ao mesmo tempo.
And I went to his house to pay him a visit, and I told him that I was reading this book and that I had learned in the book that if you put, she said, if I put my hand on your shoulder and on your groin, this is going to, he was in a lot of pain, as you can imagine. If I put my hands over your shoulder and on your groin, this is going to help release the pain in your back. Do I have your permission to do that? And Érika is saying, while we do that, why don't we do 11 and 15? We touch here over our shoulder, and we touch the region of the groin on the same side. This is the fun of JIN SHIN JYUTSU, right? We can talk about it and at the same time practice it.
E eu fiquei lá com a minha mão nessa posição por uns 40 minutos em cada lado. Ele adormeceu e eu fui embora para minha casa.
And so I held this position on both sides for about 40 minutes. He ended up falling asleep and I went home.
No dia seguinte, a mãe dele me telefonou e disse que ele falou que ele acordou sem dor nas costas pela primeira vez em 7 anos. E o que era isso que tinha acontecido, o que é que eu tinha feito.
And the next morning, his mother called me up and she told me that he had woken up in the morning and had told her that he had woken up and felt absolutely no pain. In 7 years, this was the first time it had happened, and he was wondering what had happened.
Eu disse para ele que eu também não sabia. Eu estava começando a ler um livro, mas aí nós fomos juntos buscar os cursos de autoaplicação. E a partir daí, a partir desse momento em que, nesse meu primeiro contato, a primeira vez que eu coloquei a minha mão em alguém fazendo JIN SHIN JYUTSU, foi essa experiência, eu percebi que tinha alguma coisa muito preciosa ali, que eu tinha que entender mais sobre isso.
And I said, well, I don't really know what that is either. I'm just reading a book about it. And what happened afterwards is that the both of us, my cousin and I, started pursuing this study, this knowledge. And we started looking for self-help classes and 5-day classes. And we started this journey together, my cousin and I. But, from this very first experience that I hadn't even finished reading the book, and I was able to place my hands on his body, and he was able to be relieved from his pain. I felt sure from that moment on that there was something very special about that.
E o que eu procuro me lembrar ao longo desses 22 anos, mais de 70 cursos depois, a gente aprende aqueles fluxos longos, complicados, sofisticados. E às vezes eu estou numa situação em que eu lembro desse primeiro momento, e eu lembro que a resposta pode estar na simplicidade.
And nowadays, 70 classes afterwards, we learn all these wonderful flows. Some of them are very complex and long flows. And although I do use them, I'm always reminded of this first experience I had with such simple touch, right? 2 parts of the body and the power of this touch. And I go back to the simplicity of the art.
Então agora, enquanto eu conto a segunda história, eu queria convidar vocês a continuarem fazendo a prática. Eu vou ter que soltar minha mão aqui para mexer nos slides, mas continuem por mais algum tempo desse lado e depois troquem a mão para o outro lado, para a gente poder falar sobre JIN SHIN JYUTSU e experimentar o JIN SHIN JYUTSU.
So now I'm going to my I'm going to my second story. And in order to do that, I'm going to have to share my screen and show you some slides. So I'm letting go of the position of my hands, but I invite you to keep holding over your shoulder and your groin on the same side, and then move sides, go to the other side. I invite you not only to listen about JIN SHIN JYUTSU, but to experience the art of JIN SHIN JYUTSU. Okay?
Essa história começou a partir de uma amiga, Tatiana Contreras. Ela foi ao Egito e, por uma dessas ironias do universo, ela foi levada a uma aldeia no interior do Egito, com 700 habitantes, uma aldeia muito pobre.
So my second story starts with a friend of mine. Her name is Tatiana Contreras. She had traveled to Egypt with her mother on a, as a tourist. And for one of these tests of fate, she ended up being taken to a village in Egypt, a very small village with 700 inhabitants. And she went.
Quando ela chegou lá, ela viu uma criança chorando muito. Ela perguntou o que a criança tinha. A criança estava com febre e eles não tinham nenhum remédio. E ela pediu autorização e começou a aplicar JIN SHIN JYUTSU na criança.
And when she got there, she saw a child that was crying a lot. And she asked what the matter was with the child. And somebody told her that the child had high fever. And they had absolutely no medication in the village. And she was also a practitioner of JIN SHIN JYUTSU, so she asked permission to place her hands on the child and started to apply a flow.
Quando a febre da criança baixou e a criança melhorou, se formou uma longa fila de pessoas pedindo que ela também aplicasse o JIN SHIN JYUTSU. Claro, eles não sabiam esse nome, mas pedindo que ela fizesse o que ela tinha feito com a criança, para que eles também pudessem ter alívio das suas dores.
And when the fever lowered, broke, and the child stopped crying and started feeling comfortable, she realized that there was a long line of people asking her to do it. They didn't know the name JIN SHIN JYUTSU at the time, of course, but asking her to place her hands on their bodies to relieve them of their pain.
Quando ela voltou para o Brasil, ela voltou muito tocada com essa situação e ela perguntou se eu poderia ir com ela para lá para ajudá-la a tratar das pessoas. Eu disse que não achava que era o suficiente irmos lá tratar, porque nós voltaríamos para o Brasil. O mais importante seria se nós pudéssemos ensinar como eles poderiam cuidar de si mesmos, com autoaplicação.
And when she came back to Brazil, she was terribly moved by this experience. And coming back, we met, and she asked me if I would go back to Egypt with her so that we could apply JIN SHIN JYUTSU on the people of that village. And I told her, no, I don't think it's very useful because we're going to come back to Brazil. We're not going to be there forever. So I told her that I thought it would be much more convenient if we taught them how to take care of themselves by teaching them self-help.
E então nós decidimos fazer isso. Nós tivemos um encontro com o David, eu, ela, Maria Rita e David, e nós explicamos para ele o que nós gostaríamos de fazer. Eu tinha um pré-conceito equivocado naquela época, de que aquelas pessoas não conseguiriam entender os livros da Mary Burmeister, os livros de autoaplicação, e eu perguntei para o David se eu podia escrever um material de autoaplicação para levar para essa vila, pedir autorização dele para construir um novo material.
And so she agreed with me, and we had a meeting. David had come to Brazil. We had a meeting with him, Tatiana, myself, and Maria Rita. And we talked about this idea that we had. And for some reason, I had the impression, misconceived impression, that the people in the village would not be able to understand Mary's self-help books and those images and stuff. So I asked David for permission to prepare my own material using images and language that I felt they would be able to understand.
Então ficou tudo combinado. Muitas pessoas resolveram se juntar a esse projeto. Então o que inicialmente seria só uma viagem para fazer um curso de autoaplicação, acabou se transformando numa missão. Foram 14 pessoas. Deixa eu começar a mostrar aqui para vocês.
So, what started as a project of Tatiana and I going to Egypt to teach self-help to those villagers ended up becoming something much bigger. It became an outreach program. 14 people joined us, and we went together to Egypt. And I'm going to start showing you some photographs that I have of that trip.
Então, essa era a nossa equipe de 14 pessoas. Era um americano, uma inglesa, 2 espanhóis e o resto do pessoal era brasileiro.
So I'm showing you a photograph here, including, among other people, our team, composed of 14 people. We had 1 American person, we had 1 English person, a person from the UK, 2 Spanish people, and all the rest were from Brazil.
Então, o nosso trabalho lá era, essas pessoas iam aplicar sessões. E nós tínhamos, então... Deixa eu contar do início.
Let's start from the beginning.
Todo dia de manhã, nós pegávamos um barco e atravessávamos o rio Nilo, com o dia nascendo.
Every morning, we'd get on a boat. This is the boat. And we would cross the Nile as the day was dawning.
Daí, nós atravessávamos o deserto por 1h30, para chegar na vila.
And then we traveled in the desert for an hour and a half to get to this village.
Nós tínhamos que passar por vários postos de comando. O Egito estava numa pré-guerra civil e a gente precisava apresentar as nossas credenciais para poder atravessar o deserto.
We had to stop at several checkpoints. At this time, Egypt was on the brink of a civil war. And so we had to stop many times on the way to show our credentials and our authorization to be there.
Então, nós chegávamos nessa vila bem pobre. Essa foto mostra aqui para vocês uma casa. Isso aqui é uma casa, uma pessoa vivia neste lugar.
And this is a very poor village. What I'm showing you now is a home. There was a person who lived in this place.
Nós tínhamos também algumas casas um pouco melhores.
There were some homes, some houses that were a little better.
E o lugar onde nós íamos trabalhar e atender as pessoas.
And this was the place where we would go and work with people.
Entre conversar com o David e a viagem acontecer, passou 1 ano, que foi o tempo que demorou para colocar esse lugar em ordem, para que a gente pudesse ter um lugar para trabalhar.
Between discussing this project with David and actually going to Egypt, it took us a year, because it took a long time for the person, the local person, to put this place in order so that we could work.
Essa aqui era uma das salas de atendimento, nós tínhamos 3 salas, então essa equipe que foi para atender concessões à população da vila.
This is one of the 3 application rooms that we had. These people that went together with us, they went there because they were going to, and actually they did, they were going to give sessions to the people in the village.
Nós tínhamos uma jovem conosco, a Pietra, que ficou encarregada de ensinar os mudras e autoaplicação para as crianças.
We had a young woman with us, Pietra, who was in charge of teaching the mudras and self-help to the children.
E a minha função era ensinar a autoaplicação, e essa era a minha sala de trabalho.
And my job was to teach self-help, and this was my classroom.
Então, nós arrumamos essa sala da melhor forma que nós pudemos.
We organized this room as best we could.
Por algum motivo, o material que eu tinha preparado não ficou pronto, e eu, por sorte, acabei usando os livros da Mary em árabe, que tinham sido cedidos por um grupo de pessoas que tinha esses livros em árabe.
For some reason, the material I was preparing was not ready by the time we left, and fortunately, we were able to use Mary's books in Arabic. A group of people who had the books in Arabic donated them to us, and so we used Mary's material, Mary's self-help books.
Então, eu tinha uma turma de alunos que eram as pessoas que falavam, que cuidavam, eram as pessoas que cuidavam dessa vila. Eram 8 homens e algumas mulheres que conseguiram atingir uma posição um pouco melhor, conseguiram estudar. 3 deles falavam inglês e eram os meus tradutores, porque eu dava essa aula em inglês. E então nós fizemos essa turma.
So this was my self-help group. There were 8 men and a few women who had managed to study, had managed to evolve educationally a little more, and they became responsible for the village, for the people in the village. They were kind of the leaders of the village. And I taught this class in English. There were 3 people in the class who spoke English, the others didn't, so we had a translator.
E a intenção era que essas pessoas aprendessem e depois ensinassem a todas as pessoas da vila.
And the intention was for these people to learn and then teach everyone in the village.
E foi o que aconteceu.
And this is what happened.
Isso foi em 2013, e essa vila, nós continuamos em contato com essas pessoas por e-mail, por WhatsApp, e essa vila continua praticando JIN SHIN JYUTSU até hoje.
And this is exactly what happened. We went there in 2013, and we still keep contact with the people, the friends that we make in this village, and they continue using and teaching JIN SHIN JYUTSU.
E o último dia foi um dia muito especial para mim, porque esses homens se reuniram e eles decidiram mostrar para mim o que eles tinham aprendido e o que eles iam ensinar para a vila. Então, eles se colocaram em fila, e cada um deles, a seu turno, me mostrou um dos fluxos que eu tinha ensinado.
And the last day of this this trip, this experience that we had was really special to me, because these men decided to go up on front, go up on the stage and teach me what I had taught and show me what I had taught them. So each in turn led, the others through a flow, guided the others through a flow that I had taught them. And so this was a very, very special moment.
Mudou a minha forma de olhar para o meu próprio pensamento, porque eu cheguei lá achando que eles não seriam capazes de aprender. My mistake.
And this changed my whole outlook on life in general, because when I arrived there, I arrived with this preconceived idea and this misconception that the people wouldn't be able to learn. Big mistake.
E eles não só aprenderam, como aprenderam muito rapidamente. Eu falava se eles queriam voltar para trás e fazer alguma pergunta, e eles diziam, não, a gente já entendeu, segue adiante. E quando eu perguntava, então, para que serve mesmo tal fluxo? Eles me diziam, como se eles estivessem trabalhando com aquilo há muito tempo.
And not only did they learn, but they learned really fast. And sometimes I asked them if they wanted to go back and look at something again and review some material, and they would say, no, go on. We want to learn more. We have already understood what you said. And sometimes I would ask, what exactly is that flow useful for? And they knew. They gave me the answer.
E eu entendi com isso essa ancestralidade da arte, como ela está inserida no corpo, na mente, no coração, nas mãos de cada um de nós.
And this really demonstrated to me the ancestrality of this art, how it is innate, how it is intuitive, how it lives within ourselves and we don't even know about it. It lives within our bodies, it lives within our hearts, it lives within our hands.
Eu adoraria poder conversar mais sobre isso com vocês, mas o meu tempo acabou. Então eu preciso devolver essa reunião para o Terry, porque chegamos no limite.
I'd love to go on talking to you and telling you about this experience, which was very, very rich. But my time is up, and so I have to give the screen back to Terry so that he can make his final considerations.
Wow. What can I say? Just an incredible journey there. Two stories overlapping in style of JIN SHIN, but, two different times. And I read a little bit about that journey, and I believe we have an article in the main central that was written. Do you know off the top of your head the exact number of that main central?
No, I don't know. I don't remember.
I will do my homework, people, and I will let you know exactly what that number is, so you can again remind yourself of what was shared here. But thank you so much, Érika, and thank you, Maria, for translating. And I saw that people in the audience here were really enjoying it. So there's many comments. Oh my gosh. And very complimentary. So thank you indeed. And the audience totally loved it too. So what I'll do is I'll send you all those comments to the chat room. But before we disappear, as it were, did you want to show people some links to other things that you are actually presenting?
Yes, I have. Eu tenho 2 grupos de estudo que estão traduzidos em inglês. Então, eu vou colocar os links aqui. Se alguém se interessar, São 5 encontros com práticas a respeito do sistema digestivo e do sistema articulatório. Deixa eu ver se eu consigo colocar aqui no chat.
So Érika is going to show you the links to 2 classes that she has. They are study groups and they have been translated into English by yours truly here, real time. So if you're interested, they're available. One is about the immune system and the other is qual que é o primeiro mesmo, Érika?
É o sistema imune e o sistema digestivo.
And the first one is the digestive system, and the second one is about the immune system. It's 5 meetings with a lot of practice.
Yes. Eu coloquei o link no chat. Eu vi rapidamente o chat, eu agradeço todas as mensagens.
I've just taken a look at the chat here, and thank you for all the messages that you sent.
Terry, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Terry? Terry's having some internet issues today.
Guys, you to show you, are you about to do a screen share?
Can you repeat that, Terry? Eu acho, Érika, que ele perguntou se você ia mostrar na tela, se você ia compartilhar na tela os 2 links.
Eu coloquei no chat, porque eu não preparei para a tela, está no chat.
So instead of showing you the 2 links on the screen, sharing the screen, Érika has placed the link for the 2 classes, the 2 study groups with loads of practice in the chat room, okay? You can just click there and you will be directed to these classes.
Good from the chat room, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I think you need to put it back in. Oh, sorry, sorry. Sorry.
I just seen it.
Okay, yeah. I needed to further. Okay, so there you are, folks. You have the information there now in the chat room, and you'll write that down. Or if you didn't get it, I will send it to you. I will copy the chat room and send it to you. In the meantime, thank you again, Érika and Maria Rita. We continue, and I apologize if the image and the sound went a bit wonky. We're doing our best to get the signal sorted. But anyway, in the meantime, if there's more of you that wish to share stories, please let me know by emailing me. info@jazzjane.com and send me any stories that you'd like to present, and we'll see if we can fit you in at a time. So, but thank you everyone for joining us today, and I look forward to the next time we have our gathering, which will be Friday, same time, 2:00 New York, when we do extended periods of practice for the newer folks. So, without further ado, what would you say in Brazil to say goodbye?
Ciao.
Well, actually, we would say ciao. In Italian.
Oh, Italian. Ciao. Ciao.
Ciao.
Au revoir for our French friends. Auf Wiedersehen to our German friends. Bye-bye for the Americans. So long. Farewell. Adieu. You take. you all take great care, and we'll see you again. Thank you all. Thank you. And I won't forget the main central. I will bring that number to you all so you can read further about their magical journey to Egypt. All right, everybody, here we go. Bye-bye.
Bye.